I'm going to start going over some of the items in here for the additional tools that we have for automation. The things that Patrick was really focusing on was a single process that we use here on the support team. I've used it on the professional services side, where we're trying to monitor responses and especially have an automation set up where customers, when they're not being responded to, especially on help desk. Many times as Patrick and I were working the support help desk, we'd have customers, we'd ask a question about and the issue would sit. And it would sit and sit and sit. And nobody would get back in touch with us, and we'd have to manually go in and update those issues. So that process we developed over time in order to try to make the system work for us using our automation tools. Well, I'm going to go over a couple of other tools, and some of them you may say, well, maybe that's not really an automation tool or not. My theory behind this is, for the most part, these are all tools that do things without you having to lift a finger. Someone else may lift a finger, but not you. And that's really what I'm looking for. So let's start out. Quick fix, incoming email. They're both of different features that we can use in order to create issues through automation. So let's talk with the quick pick first. So when I go in here and let's see, I lost my site. So now I got to go back and find it again.
July demo.
I can't type, you know that. And most of you have done these demos with me before and known that.
And your login name is just Mike.
No, it's not.
Oh, you changed
it? It was.
Tricky.
The idea on the quick pick functionality is to allow you to have a pre-fill so that you can select from a drop-down. So the drop down there, I've created 3, and the site has, some of the sites have more, but I'm going to use this one called user access change request. And the reason I want to start with this one, because I'm going to talk about a couple of different things related to this one. Many times we have a process and we would like to follow the process so we can document it. So I'll use something like this one. This is a user access change. Somebody's requesting some sort of an access to a system or to some sort of a function that needs to be done. Usually it's a program. And so you have a data owner and a manager that may have to give approval to do that. Many times IT needs to review the request. So there's a whole process that has to go through. Well, I don't want to have to do that every time. So in this case, the quick pick already has the process built in through our task functionality. So the task functionality is controlling the process, it's controlling the routing, it's ensuring all the approvals are being granted and are being auditable. Any information that is being gathered in here is either already added, like prompts for the employee name or for information that you want. So all of that's already added. The issue types are added, so it's ready to go. So using this functionality helps you push that issue through, and it helps the user because they can be as limited in what they need to provide to you as possible. But they also ensure that as much information is on that issue that's needed to complete whatever request it is. So in this particular case, like I said, the department approval is routing email to the assigned to user. So whoever is automatically assigned to this is assigned to the first person, so the department manager, for example. Once they complete that, then we automatically would go to whatever users has to be the approval person. So we could edit this and then say, okay, if this happens to be going to, let's say, the SQL Server administrators, then we would go ahead and route this to a SQL Server administrator. If it happens to be, let's say, the finance department needs to have access to say, a QuickBooks or to an EMR program, then we can go ahead then and have that person routed and assigned to this. And this is all non-licensed users because task assignment is all through end users, not through agent users. And it could even be a group if we needed to. So if you see here, that the people that are being notified on here are people that can be either a group or can be an individual user. So you can see that there's different routings that can occur according to what goes on. So once we complete that, of course, then we can even go in and add additional task in here in order to have IT approve it and to move it through. So we're moving this automatically through a process and a routing process that we preset up through the use of the task functionality. The other thing that's interesting in here is that, as Patrick was talking about, we do have capabilities where we can go ahead and change the substatus based off of our yes, no, and not applicable approval statuses. So many times we'll do things like approved yes in here, or rejected, or on hold, or whatever it happens to be. So we can move the issue into a substatus just by clicking the yes, no, or NA responses. Many times I've even set this up so that, as Patrick was talking about moving things through the process, I would go ahead and have it move through the substatus changes just by responding to yes, no, and A. Never have to open the issue up. It just responds and moves the issue to the next life cycle event. So it's another little trick that you can use with your task process to quickly move issues along and send into the next step in the process just by completing tasks. So how that kind of works is a little bit like this, where I'll go in here like I think I've got it in the login, but you can go ahead and just set it up that way and have everything set up. I've got that in the change request process where you have things move along. So the quick picks have that capability of doing that. Now, our incoming email module also has capabilities of creating issues, and this is probably the more one that you're used to using. This is a feature of Issuetrak. It has the ability for you to create one or more mailboxes, and you can have anyone send an email into that mailbox and create an issue. Matter of fact, I was just on a phone call with a customer a little while ago, and they asked me, what kind of member of the public send an email to them? Sure, they can, because one of the things that we can do is we can go ahead and either create users based off a template, or we can just submit the issue with a known user. So we don't even have to create a user record unless we want to. We can create a user record, but we don't have to. So in many cases, then, when we're using our incoming email module, we're allowing any member or any teammate to send an email to a mailbox and create an issue. Body becomes description, subject becomes subject, and then we can parse information to subject to auto route the issues. So that can be done in here. So the other things we can do is we can use quick picks to submit the issue. I have one system that I set up where they have a particular mailbox that users send to create the issue, and then it routes to the maintenance personnel related to that mailbox. So it does a really good job of focusing and forcing the information to go to the assigned person based off of the mailbox sent to it. So it's automating the assignment of the issue through that particular process. So it works out really well to do things like that within Issuetrak. So it's a nice automation feature that you can use. So that, and of course, we can use a quick pick, and then of course the business rules can also be triggered like auto assignment rules, because we send it into a particular mailbox. It has an issue type assigned to it. Then the business rule will go ahead then and work off the issue type to do the assignment of the issue. And of course, creating users there. Some systems we have set up where the users are created. For example, they may be a person who's sending complaint into a particular system, and that complaint, then they want to have a user created so that they get a confirmation email that they've had the issue being created. In addition to that, they may want to add notes in Issuetrak so that those notes go directly to that user. And then any replies that are sent by that user can come back in and be added as notes to the originating issue. So it gives you a lot of functionality within that one feature of Issuetrak to work with customers, whether they are users or not. So we work a lot with customer complaints with this, but we work a lot with facilities issues. We work a lot with different types of service requests where we may not always know who the submitting issue user is. So you can either create users or not. So nice automation capability when you're creating issues and handling them. So Another thing that I always consider to be an automation capability is a way for you to track changes and modifications within Issuetrak. So when you come into the Issuetrak system and you look at a particular issue, I'm going to just go to the hub here and pick on an issue. So we'll look here at number 4, the one that I set in yesterday about resetting password. I can go on the right-hand side here and look at the issue change log because I've enabled the issue auditing feature within Issuetrak. And what it does is give me an error message, of course, immediately.
Ouch.
Why would it, Patrick, it blew up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Let's see here.
Go to.
C5.
It did blow up.
Now this one worked right. So in here, the issue change log then gave me where we added a substatus. It said the old value was blank, the new value was this, who modified it and when it was modified. So it just depends on the information. Sometimes you'll see one change, sometimes you'll see 20 changes in here. If I go back to the issue and I go and add a quick note, and I'll go down to the bottom here and just say test note. And then do a quick update. Then, of course, the change log now also shows me does a note's been added. In here, it was blank. It has then has test note, who did it when it was done. There was even a substatus changed in here, and this was done by the system. The system did this. Usually, this is done through rule. It went from in process / research to custom response received because a note was added to the issue. That was one of the rules that Patrick had added in here on the substatus change. So you're seeing a couple of different automation tools are working together in order to manage the issues in the system. So auditing. Now there's another set of auditing that I did not talk about just so you can understand too. There is a system-wide auditing where it's talking about changes to things like user records and different features within Issuetrak. Some of our more enterprise level customers are looking for more of that type of auditing now. It is available. It does have to be enabled on the features page. You can turn that style, the system auditing turned on there, and then you can go ahead and have a system audit also added to the system, to the Issuetrak system. Reports. Scheduling reports is an automation tool. Sure it is. I don't have to send anybody. I just have to set up a schedule and it's off and running. So again, if I'm looking in here and I'll go to the report section on this side, then I can have a schedule report list added in here where I am taking reports that we have created and sending them out automatic. So here I have created a report writer report. It was a sample of open issues by issue type. I've scheduled it to go out daily and it runs at 8 a.m. and it will run essentially into the 16th. It goes out to my personal mailbox. That's where it was designed to go out to. So it could go out to any type of recipient, either a user within the system or any email address it was sent to. So therefore, you can go ahead and have a lot of these systems set up. Another type of report that you can automate is the open issues issue stats. That happens to be a saved search. So now you're looking at 2 different types of reports that can be seen. Saved searches or report writer reports can be scheduled and they can be sent out whenever you want to. The recipient list can be a group or a user, so you can go ahead and add either one if you wish. And then it can be sent out again at whatever time you want, daily at whatever time. And you can even end it. And there's a big options in here, such as hourly. Hourly is good for sometimes when you want to do things like creating schedule reports that you may want to send over to maybe like a Tableau or Power BI so that you can do some data modeling with those. So those are good options there. Weeklies and monthlies, quarterlies, or annuals, or even just one at a time. So scheduling is definitely an automation tool that you can use in the product.
All right, Mike, we've got a question.
Yes, sir.
They're asking how you turn on the issue change log. Can you show that in the features?
Oh, sure. Be happy to. In the product, we go to the light box, which is when you click on the gear icon now, you get this light box option, and you're going to go into the system settings under the features page. When you go to the features page, you'll have an auditing section, and here you see the check boxes for is how you enable the issue auditing. The admin auditing is enabled here, but you have to provide a system administrator password in order to enable it. So those are the two places that you do. The only thing that's a little bit of an overhead about auditing is it does create some additional records on the backside of Issuetrak. So it does create some log files. You'll need to truncate those every once in a while, but those truncations remove them from the database and put them into a text file. That's essentially a log file that you can mean. So you never lose it. It's still there. But just be aware of it. That's the main thing you want. I always tell the story. I turned this thing on when a customer turned it on. They forgot about it. And then I checked them a couple of years after that, and they had over 3 million audit records created. So it's not a big problem until you get to millions of records. At millions of records, you have to truncate those things down to help to keep the software running at peak efficiency. And Patrick's bobbing his head up and down. He's done it many times. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem. Now, another event that's interesting is what I just saw on here is the out of office event. You may have noticed when we went to assign that issue to Patrick that he had a little message underneath his name saying he was out of office. Well, the reason is I use our calendar functionality to create an out of office event. So up at the top here, you'll see out of office. And the out of office gives us the ability to go ahead and create an event saying that a particular agent user is unavailable from this period to this period. So while they're unavailable, reroute their pre-assigned auto assignments to their backup. Also route any email that will be sent to them to their backup. Now, what's nice is you don't have to make any system changes. You can go in there and you can go in there and just set this rule, and you can leave all your auto assignments in place, all your quick pick assignments in place. You don't have to make any changes there. You just set this and it does all the routing to the backup during that period of time. And it does, like that one where we had Patrick, where he was going to be assigned to a task. The situation with that was we give a warning to the user who wants to manually make the change. The manual change can still occur. I could still assign a task to Patrick. It's not going to prevent it. It's just going to tell me he's not available right at this particular period of time. Nice functionality and feature. Another thing that's related to the calendar that we don't talk enough about is reminders. So I'm going to go back to the calendar list in here, and you'll notice that there is a reminder down here. It says deadline, issue 6, task due. So what I did, this one's on issue 6, and it said web demo one. And what I did is I went into the webinar day here, and I added an event reminder. Now you can go into a task, and if you do set a due date, then you get, of course, the ability to select the date, and then you get this little alarm clock. Calendar functionality needs to be enabled. But if you've got that, you can open up and create a reminder that would be available for you to use. So I assign this to myself. I'm an agent user. I've got a task deadline on this date. I can send out a first reminder day before. It recurs daily, and it can even send me emails. So now I've got a physical reminder that's going to show up. Matter of fact, if I go to the hub, one of the tabs is today's reminders. So I can go ahead and show the tab here with the reminder information. Then, of course, I can click in here and see the information related to the reminder and click on directly to the issue if necessary. So it's a nice little functionality that you can use to give you some reminders about how Issuetrak. And again, it's kind of automated because once you set the reminder, it's going to go ahead and either send you the email based off the reminder. You've done an action, but now it's automated reminders that's going to be coming into you. Another thing is service level agreements. Now, I'm going to agree with this one. This one's kind of maybe yes, maybe no, but it is automated because we're setting agreement rules and it automatically applies service level agreements to issues. So within this particular site, we set up service level agreements. So we have service level agreements, that's an optional field. It's an optional feature, excuse me. The optional feature has again been enabled on the features page. And then I've set up a list of severities, severity 1 through 3. I've created a list of service levels, and it has terms that I apply, which means different terms are applied according to the service level that I want to apply and the time frame. Now, this time frame is also independent of the hours of operation, where escalation notifications are only going to apply during hours of operation. Service levels do not use those rules. Service levels use these rules that are set up here. And then we have what's called an agreement that says, okay, I have 2 different agreements, one for Issuetrak and one for our webinar users. And then in here, it says, okay, by this organization, set the default severity automated during this period of time. So the severity is going to be automatically applied. The service level is going to be automatically applied based off of the organization of the submission. And you can see you can do things through group and even through our asset module also. So we have additional capabilities of working with this particular module. If you need additional information, I would recommend going to the Help Center in order to pull up that document, or to contact support team or Patrick or I in order to go through that. So some other options. Track PC auditing. Well, if you have not, or have you not been introduced to the automation that is capable within our asset management module, then of course we do have some capabilities here also. As an example, I'm going in here and I'll look at the assets. And here I have a particular asset that I have. And this asset was created by running a script. It's our Track PC executable program. It created an asset record and created all of this information in here through our automated Track PC program. The Track PC program is usually set up either through a login script, or it's posted out to the machines in order to run that automated through a batch file or process, usually through your policies. And then it gathers data. And then what it does, it can create audit files. And you can see here that 2 audit files have been created, one on the 14th and one on the 15th. This is when the asset was actually added to our system. And this is when we ran another audit in order to give it an update of information. So the Track PC program runs on login per se, and you don't have to do anything. It audits it, sends that audit information to our site, which then can be viewed by management to see what's going on. So an automated process that runs on the backside that does that. The other thing that's interesting is, and it's kind of again automated, is that we can associate that particular asset to a particular user. So that when I come in here and I put in something like reset my password, if I scroll down toward the bottom of this one, you'll notice that my asset has automatically been applied to this particular issue just because it's my default asset when I submitted the issue. So this goes in automated. We don't have to do anything. So a person on the IT help desk, let's say, can go ahead and look at the asset data, and they can also look at information related to history of issues being submitted with that asset. So that's been added automatically. Now, the user can go in and change that information if necessary, but we're talking about automation here, and what's easy peasy is really what we're looking at there. So another way of using that particular automation capability to make it work for you. So auditing then runs automated on the backside. So as long as you're creating those Track PC executable files, or you're creating the XML files, it's going to go ahead and create audit records for you for your Windows-based or Mac PCs. Now, let's talk about what Chris was talking about, sending surveys after completion. So one of the other modules that we have within Issuetrak is our survey module. And you do have to have the survey module enabled in order to work with the surveys. So it becomes a tool, and this is enabled. And what I did here is I created a survey. So I'm just going to go in and do a quick edit here, or not edit there. I want to go ahead and take a look at the survey. So I'm going to go in here and take a look at it. And I can create any number of surveys that I want. And this survey is set up. And then I'll go to the surveys list and I'll pop it open. Now you can set up templates to make this prettier. This is using the default template. So you can modify the colors, you can change some of the layout so it looks a little better than this one. This one is using our gray default. But in here I had two questions. One, you can provide me information, and you notice it's not required. And are you happy or you're not happy? I actually had a survey that I worked with a customer, and the only thing on the survey really was the second question. Were you happy with your service? Yes or no? Every no had to be responded to by the manager. So they wanted to filter these when they got the next spot. But you can go ahead and take it. So it's put it in here, Joe. And who knows, me, Joe, me, and it's jm@noemail.com. Phone number, of course, 555-555-9999. And yeah, I was happy. I'm done. I've taken a survey, it gives you a little message here, and it'll close this up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page, and you're going to notice the results went from 3 to 4, and then it gives me an overview of the results. So you can see how many responses we had, whether it was 100% here, what the average of the no's and the yeses were here, and I can even go to the individuals and take a look at the data in here too. So you can create the surveys that way. Now, the question was asked about deployment. There's a couple of different ways of deploying the survey to your users. You can go into the deploy options here, and you can grab the URL and send it to users. And that's one of the ways that we're going to survey you when we send your survey request to see how we're doing. You can always do web page links and some things like that. Another option is to, when you go back to Issuetrak here on the first page, you have the ability to edit this one and create a particular rule. So I may have two surveys in here, one for information technology, one for facilities, and then I can have two differently formatted surveys and send one based off the issue type to one team, and then send another one based off of another issue type to another team. Or I can do it by organization and substatus. If the class functionality was turned on, it can be done by class. The question was, how can I automate this process? You can go in and say a survey can be sent out every time an issue is closed. And our support team is set up this way, where whenever an issue closed, you get a survey request, and it's option 1. Some people prefer to send it out every nth time the issue is closed, which means that you control the interval. It's not just 5, it could be 10, it could be 20, it could be 2. You control the interval by putting a value in there. So it's like the nth time, or you don't automate the process at all and never send any surveys out. Now, if you don't create the rule, it's available. The invitations are actually set up here where you can go ahead and modify the wording to make it your own, and you see the link to take the survey will be embedded within the outbound email. So that's surveying. So let's take a look at how some of that automation has been working for us during this presentation. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to see, did we create user accounts? So let's go back to the demo. We're going to go back to the hub. And let's see, Patrick, did you close one issue? Oh, it automatically closed. Let me go to issue number 7.
We auto closed one, yes.
Yeah. Issue number 7 was sent in by Julianne, and thank you, Julianne. We created a user for her. And if you're noticed down here at the bottom, our escalation rule ran. Thank you for participating in the webinar. And then what it did, it auto closed this issue, but it went ahead and added a note, and then it closed the issue automatically. And you take a look at the change log, and you can see it was assigned through round robin auto assignment. Again, one of the rules run, it was assigned to Mike Wright. A note was added in here, click for more, with the escalation notification put in here. And then the click for more means you can go in here and read the note. And then the substatus was changed when we actually closed the issue, because the escalation notification closed the issue by rule. So when we take a look at what we wanted to do, we did set this one up through Quick Pick. And how can I tell that? If I go back and view the issue, she put in the information as I asked to, log me. Well, when you added in log me, it went ahead and added in it went ahead and added this issue over to our, it had the issue through the Quick Pick log me. And so it went ahead and used that to submit this particular issue. Now, the other things you can see, of course, it was submitted by direct issue in here, so you got that information. Yes, I am going to delete all of this. Patrick, would you mind getting rid of all of that information in there, please?
Sure.
So we're going to strip this out while
You
we're
want me
here.
to just delete the issue?
No, not yet. Just strip out the information that Julie's contact information in it. The reason is because I want to go in and reopen this issue. So if anybody's never reopened an issue, it's a pretty simple process. I go to the edit on the right-hand side. I can just do an edit and reopen. The reason I want to reopen the issue is because I want to add it to a global. Now, if you've never done this or never know what a global is, in our section here, we have a global issue. And our global issue is set up so that you can go ahead and view an issue that's set up as global. I promoted this issue number 6 to a global. So let me go to number 6 real quick. And when I promoted it, I just went ahead and said, okay, now. I promoted it up and I made it global issue options. And I said, okay, it's available for all users in all organizations so they can see this. I can go in here and I can copy tasks to a newly created issue if I needed to. I can make sure that I am setting it up so that I can do it. So I can go in here and say, okay, and I'm going to say issue number 7, and I'm going to do a search for it. And if everything works correctly, it should go ahead and pull it up. Let's see, close this out. Close this out. It brings that in, and then I can link that issue to it. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, if I go back to issue number 6 and do a view, and I want to add a note, and I'll change the substatus too while I'm at it. If you've never seen how this works, then this works this way. I add a note to 6. Of course, it's going to update, and then I can come down here and look at the history of the issue. You see number 7 has a linked issue in here. I can go to number 7, and if I scroll down here at the bottom, global issue, new issue update was the note I added on 6, and it propagated over to 7. In addition to that, the substatus should also be changed to pending customer response 1 from the history information that came over from another one. So automatically I'm updating other users about things that occur. So it's a nice way of looking at the product and working with it too, so you can actually do some of the things. So we can update the information, and we also had already shown where we auto close that particular issue using our business rules. So everything we were trying to have you do has actually occurred during an automation process during this part of the webinar, between when Patrick started out with it to the time that we've ended, getting ready to end now. So it shows you that you can have a fairly quick automation sequence if you need to. Less than an hour has been the time we started to the time we've ended, and we've had a lot of automation occur with Issuetrak and processing these issues using some of these features in combination to achieve a goal. So it's a nice way of doing things. So are there any other questions that you would like to ask? I know that last section was pretty quick. Remember, go to the Help Center and look at some of that information. You can always do about, just look up the title of the different feature that I just talked about, and you can go ahead and find articles related to most every title within Issuetrak. So any of the features you're interested in, please look through it. If you are interested and you don't have either the survey module or the asset management module and you want additional information, please contact the sales team. They'll be happy to help you out because they are things that have to be talked through with them. Oh, the global setup options, sure. The only thing you have to do, and I'll go back in here to the webinar, to turn on global issues, then it is under the features page again. So I'm going back, and when you turn it on, it's enabled here. Use global issues, and then the setup is where these are going to be the items that are going to be propagating from the global to the changed item. So if you link something together, you would be saying, okay, I'm going to sync the global to the new issue. So whatever substatus or whatever issue type the global has, it's now going to be on that newly linked issue. And if I change the information on the global, so anything checked, then would propagate over to all of the changes. That's why note and close are on here on change, but not on link. I'm not big item on putting notes or closing issues when they're linked. I would do it after the fact because a lot of times, you want these to be up and running. You don't want to change, to automatically close them out. So once I get an issue, and I'll go to issue number 5 here, just so we can show you the options of when you do promote. If I need to promote it, that's on the right-hand side, it says promote to global. So I can click that option and say, okay, it's all users with access to this issue, all users in the global organization. So if you have a multiple organization capability, then what happens is it's only in the issue, the global issue would be only for the global issues organization, or it could be for everyone. And you can even restrict it to agents only if you need to. And again, I said you can copy the task. Now you can override those options too and disable them all. So propagation would not occur, and just promote it to global. When you promote it to global, it does give you the ability to go out and search for additional issues that are related to this. Now this is happening by issue type and subtype by default. So I can search and find, and then I can just check the box to link it like I did before. Now I'm not going to do that in this particular case. So I'm even going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to link the issues together. Oh, and by the way, I want to demote it. I can remove the status also. So even though I promoted it, I can still demote also. So you can do both if you need to do that. And of course, that information, as you saw before, can be viewed by looking at the issue. And then the tab global issues does show up here. Another nice thing about if you do have global issues, you can click submit right here, and it will copy the global issue and submit it under your name. So it's a quick way of submitting an issue if you need to, once it's upgraded to a global issue.
Sweet.
All right, Patrick, I've been talking long enough.
Well,
Does anybody else have any other questions?
yeah, we have one other question from Sarah. So we had a lot of questions about round robin, and I've been trying to type out those. She had a really good question about if she has out of office set up on one of the round robin users, and she assigns an issue to the round robin group, will it skip that out of office user? That is a really good question, actually.
I have a feeling that the software would skip it instead of assigning it to their backup person. I don't know 100%. We would have to check that one. So Patrick, let's go ahead and see if we can check with our team and make sure what our response needs to be. And we'll go ahead and send you the response to that. And for all others, we'll go ahead and see if we can send that out when we send out the notifications next week about joining us for our survey and for going ahead and putting it. So we'll get a response out to everyone on that one.
All right. Yeah, that's an awesome question. Thank you, Sarah. All right. Alex had one. I'm reading it right now.
Alex,
All right.
on there, on that, you may want to try the weekly option so you can control the days of the week you want to send that out. Most of every time we do any kind of scheduling, you get the weekly option. It gives you the ability to go into like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's designed to be able to select one day, but if you want to do it 5 days a week, many times we'll do reports weekly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or we'll do them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday when we want to do yesterday or something like that.
Yep. All right, good. He got it. I showed it to him on the screen. Awesome. I think we only had one more, and it was about archiving issues like you talked about earlier. I kind of want to show that. That was Jennifer. So underneath the issue audits, we can search the audits to see what changes were made on issues, but we can also archive here.
You got control.
Yeah, we can archive here. So you can say, I want to archive everything from last week, last month, last year. You can also put in and type your own custom date range. Just have to be very careful with this. There's a lot of data. So sometimes if you choose too big of a data set, it will time out in your browser just because that's the limitation. It's taking so long. So you may want to choose smaller bits to archive by. And
you might want to do like a 6-month archive and pick it that way. You don't know how much data you may have. So do a search through the actual records of and see how much data. I mean, when you've got millions of records, anytime you get above 50,000, you could have potential issues with SQL Server choking out.
Yeah. Looks like Jennifer got our answer as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's see. Now, other thing is, Patrick, in the question and answers, could you go to that link that Sarah put out there for us for the LinkedIn group?
Sure.
One thing we would like to do also is kind of promote our user group within our LinkedIn. Sarah actually goes ahead and heads that up, but we all have some interactions within users. It's nice to be able to have a place you can go to kind of have a sense of community where you can talk to others and use that LinkedIn to generate discussions or work with our team in order to have a sense of community.
Right.
So within Issuetrak.
And Mike, you're gonna have to bring it up. It's not
okay.
me.
Hold on a second, it's me.
So just open that QA session. No links in there.
I got it. So we have the Issuetrak user network, and it'd be nice. It's where you can see that there are many of our members in here. We have a lot of members that are already set up in here. A lot of our staff is here, and then you'd be able to interact. And for Sarah here, who's a social media coordinator at Issuetrak, she posts a lot of information here that you can use. So we'd all like to have you engage with us there, and you'll see that Sarah's very, very active in here. So we want to make sure that we promote this a little bit today and say it's a good place for you to get in touch with us. If you asked a question and she needs to have one of us answer it, she'll walk over to us and beat us upside the head and say, come and answer this one. So
yes, she will.
I'm joking, but yeah, but she will definitely come over and make sure we respond if anybody asks something specific to either Patrick or myself. So if we happen to miss it, we'll get it. So I hope everyone's had some fun today. Again, we are going to do a survey that's being sent out next week. Usually it does have the information about how to get to the recordings for the webinar. So please look out for that and please give us some responses back because we're searching for topics, you know, what you want us to talk about in the future. If you enjoyed this over some of the other topics that we've done, tell us. We'd like to hear back from you. Put it on the user network, you know, that might be a good question for Sarah to go ahead and ask. What would you like to see in our webinars in the coming months? So that would be a good thing for us to do because we want to talk about things you want to hear about. So please be helpful for us and give us some ideas for some nice topics to send out. So until then, you know, I thank you for your time today. I appreciate you taking time out of your business day to meet with Patrick and I and hear us run our mouths because we're real good at it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a good day and talk to you next month. Bye now.
Bye now.